My name's Ryan Berns. I'm the founder of the Lacrosse Leadership Institute, and we are so fortunate to have the game of lacrosse in our lives. Our mission is to empower anyone who loves lacrosse to use the sport to ultimately live the life of your dreams. Today, we have Tim Leonard. He ended up creating ULAX, which for all of our washed up lax bros or anyone who's outside of the collegiate game knows you get to play men's league. And Tim has a fascinating story, and we're so fortunate to have him on. Tim, thank you for being on, first of all. And secondly, can you share with our community, for those that maybe aren't familiar with ULAX, how you got involved with lacrosse and how this journey has taken you to where you are today?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. What a great journey it's been. I started playing in 7th grade, I think like you, Ryan, and just really fell in love with the sport. And I played in high school and college out in Colorado. And then, what happened with ULAX is that I just fell in love with the game. I just love playing so much. It really gets in you, which hopefully we'll chat about a little bit on this meeting. But after a few years of playing at the MCLA collegiate level at Colorado, I was just very surprised to find that there was no network, there was no opportunities outside of college. And so when I graduated, I dedicated 15 years of my life to the game. I love the game. It's really helped me evolve as an individual, but just my favorite moments of my life have been on the lacrosse field. And so when I got to that point, I just was like, wait a minute, there's not like an amateur network. I mean, some guys will go on and play the pros, but it's limited, it's very limited, it's very selective. And I just wanted something where I could just continue to pursue the craft. I couldn't imagine lacrosse not being in my life. So that's really where the whole mission for ULAX started. It started out in Boulder, Colorado. That's where I went to school. And I basically teamed up with a former teammate of mine, the great and powerful Nima Kasai, who hopefully you'll have on this show at some point too. He's a very brilliant guy, co-founder with me. And together we have just set out to what has become build the largest network of men's and women's leagues around the country. I think honestly in the world. We had close to 10,000 players in 2019. We had a little bit of a dip this past year with COVID because some of our states were closed down. We have great relationships with the lacrosse community around the country. I think we have around 300 officials on our payroll. We have I'm trying to think here, probably close to 70 managers within our network. And I know you're competing in the Phoenix League. We're a great network. We're here to just grow the game. We're here to keep people, we're here to keep an opportunity for players to continue competing in the game, but also to continue what comes with lacrosse, which is just great camaraderie and just great moments. I think it's all of that kind of wrapped together. So we've been really driven and we've had great success, and I think the future is bright. We really are enjoying what we're doing, and we've really got a great system in place that we've honed throughout the years through trial and error and making mistakes and just sticking with it. Much like you learn to play the game itself, ironically. But that's a little bit about what ULAX is and kind of what we've been able to accomplish up until this point. And yeah, it's just been phenomenal. It's been really phenomenal, and looking forward to the years to come.
Well, Tim, we're looking forward to the years to come as well, because like you said, there wasn't a whole lot of connectivity of the game after college. And I'm glad to hear that you took the fact that you want to fail fast from what you learned playing, and you've associated that with business. And it sounds like you've had some trial and tribulations with ULAX, but made it through into where you guys are today. I'd love to hear, though, because we started by saying some of your favorite moments were from lacrosse. I'd love to hear what your pinnacle lacrosse moments are.
Sure. Yeah. Gosh, what a question. Pinnacle lacrosse moments. I mean, I would just say, like, when I look back and talking to young players that might see this, I would just say enjoy playing. I mean, when I look back at high school and college, those were the best memories I have, was just getting on the field. There was just nothing better than competing on the lacrosse field, building those relationships with people. It's just, you just can't beat it. You know, I enjoy the business life that I have now around the sport, but it just does not equate to competing, to the camaraderie, to all those elements that go into playing the game itself. And I think, you know, when I look back, there's great moments with big crowds and beating rivals, and that's really fun. But I think what humbles me the most and what I learn from the most is the losses in games. I think that how we respond to defeat is a great, it's a great way to determine character. But I also think true champions, that's how you emerge, is from your defeats. But when I think about the pinnacle game, and hopefully I don't get too spiritual here with you, but there were two games in my career here that, one was my last game in high school where I was playing the state championship. It was a semifinal game, and I was playing attack. I've always been midfield attack interchangeably. And our coach had sidelined me for some reason. He put in a younger guy, freshman player, which I thought was a big mistake because, your guys that put in the time have the heart and they want it more. I wanted it more than this player. This guy went on to play, I think at Harvard, was a great player. I don't want to take anything away from him, but we were down by a goal and I was on the sideline and I was just so fired up. And I just said, look, coach, what I was doing was I was observing the defender who was going to be on me, and I could see his weaknesses. And I went up to my coach and I just said, look, put me in. Like, this is my last game. I said, I see how I'm going to beat this guy. I'm going to pull this move. I'm going to do my roll dodge, and I'm going to pin the ball right here because the goalie, I could just see it. So he put me out there and I went in and I did exactly as I said I would do. And I pulled the spin dodge, I buried it, and when I scored this goal, and this is where it gets to be a little different, I had this rush, unlike anything I can really describe, where it was almost like, a surge of energy. And, you hear athletes talking about getting into the zone in sports, and I've seen some of your recordings at ASU. You look like you're a very focused defender, leader out there. But, and I had games like that, but this was a unique situation where I felt like the entire game after that happened was completely in slow motion. And I had this whole sense that I could not make a mistake. And it's crazy, but like I was able to duplicate that one other time, just that level, that very high level, one other time in college against one of our rivals. Is the same kind of thing, just this like high, it's hard to describe, but I went on this search after my college days because I still think about it. I'm like, what was that? Like, what happened to me? And so the closest I've gotten, because I have read, some great athletes in other sports will talk about this kind of feeling of almost invincibility. And so the closest thing I've gotten to it is, I believe the ancient Greeks had a term for it, which they called the source, which they said was, it's, you have your physical training, you're always at your craft, but it's the blending of mind body. It's like the fusion of the two that can take place in certain instances. And so when I really think about it, that was those two games in particular, out of the 15 years that I played, were probably those moments where I continue to scratch my head and I just think, gosh, what happened to me out there? Like, how did I get there? And what was that? Because it was just, I don't know, it's kind of like out of this world. And I know it sounds probably a little crazy, but I know that these effects happen to athletes. And I think there's something to it with, the natives call it the creator's game, and something with creativity. And, I don't know if you can relate to that, but if I had to really pinpoint it, I would say those two games would be the pinnacles, the moments that I still reflect on, very puzzled by, but, that I appreciate, I greatly appreciate.
I think that's in the zone or in that flow is so important. And I try to think back, and I know there's times, but nothing really sticks out like what you're saying. But I think about now professionally, and I have a coach, and he talks about how do you get in the zone and think of, like you said, everything went in slow motion. You could see what the defender was going to do. You know how to beat him. You know where to bury the shot. And it's the same thing in life. If a mom, say she gets in a car accident and she's able to somehow lift her 4-ton car up to save her child, we get these superhuman strength or abilities. And when you're in that zone, just your body and your mind all working together, that's just, I don't know how to recreate it other than being in a game or in a life and death situation. And it's cool that those really stick out to you. And I'd ask, have you tried now outside of lacrosse realm to get into that zone, or have you felt like you're in the zone with ULAX?
Well, I mean, I definitely try, but I think the difference, but I haven't. And in business, I mean, you know, you hit a, it's not, I don't know, it's not quite the same thing. Like, I think there's unique qualities to playing a game on the field where the rules are there. You know, that's a big reason why I love lacrosse so much. But I, I haven't really been able to recreate it to that level. And I think a big part of it is that, you know, while we organize leagues, you know, like you're competing in the Phoenix Men's League, and you know, we're creating these rec leagues. There was something about competing at a higher level, representing a school. I mean, there's a chance that guys could get this and girls get feeling in our leagues, but it just didn't have the same regiment. You know, like, you didn't train as hard for it. Like, I would train all the time in college and high school. When you play in rec league after that, you're not really putting in the time. You're not really like, it's just not the same level. You know, it never unfortunately has gotten there for me, which is why I look so fondly back at my college days at Colorado, and then my high school days in Michigan, and why I would say to any of the young players, it's like, just be sure you grab hold of this opportunity and you really enjoy it, because you won't get it back. And it's just the greatest thing. I mean, you can't duplicate it. I'm sure all your guests would say something similar. The game is just, you know, it's just something about it, but especially when you're competing at a high level and you're training all the time, you're really putting a lot into it. So no, I haven't, unfortunately, but I'll keep you posted if I'm able to somehow get there again. But I haven't, other than those 2 games.
Well, please do, Tim. I think it's something that it is interesting and can be said. And when you're younger, you always have that goal in mind of where you can get. And as you mentioned, after college, you don't really have that opportunity. Different priorities again, ultimately are pressing. And that may be part of it, is you're no longer training towards a goal that's physical. You've got different goals at this point, competing priorities, and you have to decide how to really sell out into that. When you're young, all you want to do is play that sport. You want to play at that next level. You do well in school so you can get into the college of your dreams, and you can just execute and train and do whatever it takes with the extra reps. And for me, that leads into the next question that I love to ask, and that's, what does leadership mean to you, Tim?
Oh, right. Yeah, leadership. You know, I think leadership. I think as a, you know, I think as a player, I think the great leaders are actually the guys that don't even think about being leaders. I think that they're the players that just that are humble, but they dedicate themselves. They put the time in, and they develop the, you know, lacrosse is so great because it really teaches you many life skills, in that you learn very basic fundamental discipline. You learn, you know, the more time I put into this, the better I'm going to be. You know, these are really basic things that might make sense to us as we get older, but this is the building blocks when we start to play the game of lacrosse. And so, but I think that, you know, the great leaders are the ones that have the work ethic. I think leadership emerges from setting an example. I think the great leaders they're not necessarily looking for it, but their peers elevate them to that because they see in them the example that they themselves want to follow. So I think, you know, those qualities come to mind. And I think also though, I think leadership and I think success in general, there is work ethic for sure, but I also believe very much in the power of having a vision and being able to see where you want to succeed, what you want, setting goals. I think that there's kind of a blend in that. I think great leaders, they can see the path forward, and then they can go and they can execute and they can get themselves there. Whether they're delayed or broken at times, or they hit failures along the way, they don't quit. And I think that element of persistence and vision ultimately leads to success and ultimately leads to the great leaders that are out there.
Which is really interesting because you said a few things that really come up for me. The fact that a leader obviously is leading by example. They're putting in the extra time, they're doing the work, but there's someone who does see that vision. And I referenced this before. I believe it was TJ Buchanan with the World Lacrosse Federation. And he said his definition of a leader is someone who's in the back of the group with the flashlight, beaming it ahead so that others are able to go towards that goal. And it's, for some reason, a leader who has that vision, can see the path. And for you, I think you saw how you could be a defenseman, you saw how you could get a goal. That's you stepping up and being able to see an opportunity to get in and play in your last game as a high schooler. It's how do you get what you want? And with that, Tim, what are some of your goals right now to inspire some of the younger athletes that are out there? They're thinking, okay, I've got lacrosse as a goal, but what's next?
You mean for ULAX?
For ULAX in general, because we see you as a leader, whether you realize it or not, you affect the entire nation. You said the number of athletes that you have competing beyond college is probably the largest in the world, which is absolutely amazing. And we found ourselves in Arizona, at least, craving the ability to play more, but there wasn't the organization. But you were able to create that organization, and now we have 6 teams, which is unheard of in the Valley, which is unbelievable. So thank you for that. I'd love to hear what you're up to next and what you're dreaming up.
Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna keep following that initial vision, really. From when I ended the college days, being surprised that there was no network. There's still a lot to do. We've got really good momentum. We've got a good thing going, but there is a lot that's still there from that initial thought. We're just kind of chipping away at it, and we've got a lot of exciting things coming this year. I mean, we have things that has me just thinking, wow, I can't believe we're rolling this out for the players, because ultimately it's about creating these great moments for our athletes, and really it's continuing to create these great experiences. Like my hope is that for you guys out in Phoenix and everywhere in all the cities that we operate, that players get out there, they have a good time, they compete, they build friendships, they build connections, they exercise. There's just such a beauty to the whole thing. So my goals are there, but I think new goals that are emerging is I really want to, I think probably one of the larger goals is I really want to work to make lacrosse mainstream. And so I do want to get more involved in youth lacrosse. It's kind of sad to me when I hear people say like, oh, lacrosse, it sounds cool. They didn't have that when I was growing up. And I just think to myself like, well, gosh, that's a shame. Like, what if they did? Your life would probably be very different. And so, we're never a company that wants to like go in and dominate or take over. Our growth has always been players reaching out to us through our website, through our Instagram, or just emailing us and just saying, look, like we really need something like this here. And then we start the dialogue and we start to build what the players want. But in addition to that, I really want to provide affordable youth clinics. I want to start really upping the volume of players in the country. I think that there's a lot of great youth lacrosse programs out there, and I just want to start to do my part in helping it go mainstream. I think that's the big vision, in addition to continue to expanding our men's, women's, and high school programs. And just bringing lacrosse into people's lives and just giving athletes a chance to continue to play the game for as long as they want. I mean, we've got a player in our New York City League who's his name's Jackie Ray. I want to say he's almost in his 70s, or he's in his 70s. He's a lawyer by day. He comes out, he plays goalie. He loves it. I mean, guys like that are legends. We've got another guy, Howard Alperin, in our Los Angeles League, who, I mean, gosh, I hate to number these guys, but maybe he's mid-50, I guess early mid-50s, something like that. He dominates. He still dominates. Grew up in Baltimore. Guys that just can't stop playing. I love that. I get motivated by those people. And so that's why we're here. It's all a good cause. And I hope to just continue to grow that with Nima, who I hope you connect with as well. He's a very brilliant guy. And also, just with all of our managers around the country, we've got a really good group of people. And I think we're just, we're just fair. We're just fun. We're fun. We're fair, but we work hard. And so we're just looking to kind of play off that and keep it going, keep this, the momentum going, and hopefully get ULAX mainstream before too long. I think that's the big goal if I had to think of something.
Well, I'm on the edge of my seat. I can't wait to see how you guys do it, because I know you will. You have, like you said, an amazing network. The people that are there, we have the passion, and I'm more than willing to help. And I know there's a lot of others that really want to help as well. Speaking of that, is there anything that we can do in our lacrosse leadership community can do for you right now, Tim?
Not really. I think just being on here is a great opportunity, just to try and raise awareness, but also, if I can help be a voice to motivate the players coming up today, and just to remind them of how great and unique their time is, and just how, it will go, but just to really enjoy it and make the most of it. Hopefully they can achieve those levels of the zone that I talk about. Hopefully they don't think I just sound crazy in a few years, like, what was that guy talking about? But that, I really believe this does happen. I don't know why, but I hope they have a similar vision. And then, if anybody's hearing this and is looking for assistance with youth all the way up through adult, if people want to bring a league to their area, or they need help, we really just bring infrastructure to help facilitate organized lacrosse. And we've got a really good team, and I think we're very fun to work with. So if anybody's looking to do that, please reach out to us. It's just ulax.org. And, I'm sure you're tagging our Instagram page. But yeah, I mean, we're just here. We're here to help the community grow, and, just appreciate you having me on. And it's cool to be a voice for the upcoming generation. It's exciting.
Well, Tim, thank you so much. I'm glad we have you as the voice of the upcoming generation. I'm so excited, as I said, to see what's to come. Thank you so much, man. Take care.
Yeah. Take care, Ryan. Thanks a lot.